so far I think it's going to be a quiet week. It is the last few days of February as I'm filming this, so maybe tomorrow or the next day or two I'll sit down and spin for my TBR for March. But so far as a reading month, I think February's gone a little bit slower than January. But
so if you'll stand up, and that way you can pan to Steve when I introduce Steve, and then I'll have you introduce yourself in your channel, and then we'll go into the interview.
What we might do next, and I settled on, well, why don't we get an RV and go out and do some camping? So that's JT, the American Wanderer, did this for us, I think about 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
Yeah.
I wonder how JT's doing.
I don't know. Yeah.
You know, it's all the same stuff. The one thing that changes here are the people. You know, and there's such a wide, diverse amount of people that.
But my brother jumped off after a couple years.
Yeah.
He aborted, huh?
Yeah, he jumped.
He was like, I want
He
internet.
got tired of not having internet and everywhere we went.
Yeah.
No service anywhere.
So now that it's a new month upon us, I want to go ahead and get my March TBR set. So let's start spinning that wheel. Okay, let's find out what the first one will be. Okay, so it's I'm finally going to get to Legendborn. I've had this on my TBR for a couple of years now. I think it's an Arthur retelling? I'm not quite sure. I don't quite remember. No. So, let's remove that. I think I'm going to do about 3 spins. I have a couple of library books that are on my TBR as well, so 3 feels good. The Spy Coast, okay. So that one is available on Kindle. Let's see. 1 more spin. Ooh. Okay, Red Queen. I might end up doing a whole series on that because I do have the whole. Ooh, okay. I feel good about that. No physical books on my TBR this month, but that's okay. So for my current March TBR, I've got 2 library reads. The first one is We Who Will Die. I believe it's a love triangle, and it says life in the perilous Thorn District is a constant battle for Arvel and her younger brothers, and the vampire standing on her doorstep is about to turn the world upside down. Faced with an unthinkable choice, Arvel makes a magically binding vow to do the impossible. Kill the Emperor, an ancient vampire created by the god Umbros, but first she must enter the Sundering, an arena where only the fastest, strongest, and deadliest survive long enough to be selected for the Emperor's elite guard. She quickly draws the ire of the Primus, the powerful figure charged with protecting the Emperor, but the vampire under the armor is the last person Arvel expects to encounter in the Emperor's court. With her brother's lives in the balance, Arvel has no choice but to ally with the man who once shattered her heart, and with the Emperor's sadistic son, Rorik, 2 vampires whose motives are impossible to pin down. Rorik holds the key to understanding the powers Arvel is developing, abilities that would put a price on her head if discovered by the Emperor. To survive the arena and complete her mission, Arvel must get to the bottom of a conspiracy that will change everything she thought she knew about herself, and the 2 vampires who are deeply entwined with her destiny. So, that sounds like it's going to be... It has 5-star... So, We Who Will Die by Stasia Stark has 5-star potential for me. It's got vampires. It also has some really cool magic. It's sigil magic, so you're born with like a sigil, either gold, bronze, or silver. on your forehead, and it grows as your powers grow. And so the magic, the environment sound really cool. The arena aspect is cool. The only thing I'm not in love with is the love triangle aspect of it, because part of it is a second chance, and um but I'm still really excited about it to see where that goes. So next on my TBR from the library is Artificial Condition by Martha Wells. It is the second in the Murderbot Diaries, and the first one was really fun. It was short, sweet, and funny. The series is about this security unit bot who hacks his government module, so he no longer has to obey orders, but he finds that begrudgingly he cares about some of the humans he's around, and ends up going on these adventures when all he really wants to do is to sit back alone, watch TV, and figure out who he is as a person, which don't we all? So that's a fun series. I've got the second one on my TBR from the library. So Legend Born is next on the TBR, and it's the first of a trilogy, I believe. Um, it is. It's a King Arthur retelling. So it says, after her mother dies in an accident, 16-year-old Bree Matthews wants nothing to do with her family, memories, or her childhood home. A residential program for bright high schoolers at UNC Chapel Hill seems like the perfect escape, until Bree witnesses a magical attack her very first night on campus. A flying demon feeding on human energies, a secret society of so-called legend-born students that hunt the creatures down, and a mysterious teenage mage who calls himself a Merlin who attempts, and fails, to wipe Bree's memory of everything she saw. The mage's failure unlocks Bree's own unique magic and a buried memory with a hidden connection. The night her mother died, another Merlin was at the hospital. Now that Bree knows there's more to her mother's death than what's on the police report, she'll do whatever it takes to find out the truth, even if that means infiltrating the Legend Born as one of their initiates. She recruits Nick, a self-exiled Legend Born with his own grudge against the group, and their reluctant partnership pulls them deeper into the society's secrets and closer to each other. But when the Legend Born reveal themselves as the descendants of King Arthur's knights and explain that a magical war is coming, Bree has to decide how far she'll go for the truth and whether she should use her magic to take the society down or join the fight. The Spy Coast has been on my TBR since 2023. It's another first of a trilogy, and the trilogy series is The Martini Club. It says, a retired CIA operative in small-town Maine tackles the ghosts of her past in this fresh take on the spy thriller from New York Times bestselling author Tess Gerritsen. Former spy Maggie Bird came to the seaside village of Purity, Maine, eager to put the past behind her after mission went tragically wrong. These days she's living quietly on her chicken farm, still wary of blowback from the events that forced her early retirement. But when a body turns up in Maggie's driveway, she knows it's a message from former foes who haven't forgotten her. Maggie turns to her local circle of old friends, all retirees from the CIA, to help uncover the truth about who is trying to kill her and why. This Martini Club of former spies may be retired, but they still have a few useful skills that they're eager to use again, if only to spice up their rather sedate new lives. Complicating their efforts is Purity's acting police chief Joe Thibodeau. More accustomed to dealing with rowdy tourists and homicide, Joe's puzzled by Maggie's reluctance to share information, and by her odd circle of friends who seem to be a step ahead of her at every turn. As Joe's investigation collides with the Martini Club's maneuvers, Maggie's hunt for answers will force her to revisit a clandestine career that spanned the globe from Bangkok to Istanbul, from London to Malta. The ghosts of her past have returned, but with the help of her friends and the reluctant Joe Thibodeau, Maggie might just be able to save the life she's built. And last, we've got Red Queen from Victoria Aveyard. I have the 4-book collection on my Kindle, and it says, power is a dangerous game. Mare Barrow, a lowly red in a world of red-blooded laborers and silver-blooded elites, thought she knew what her future held. But when she learns that her red blood has been disguising a secret ability, one usually reserved only for silvers, her life is turned upside down. How will the silver ruling class keep her secret hidden from the increasingly restless red population and their Scarlet Guard revolutionaries? And how will Mare use her sudden power to change the caste system, the kingdom, and the world forever? So those are the 5 books on my March TBR, and I think it'll be a really good reading month. There's some potentials for. I think there's a potential for 3 to 5 stars. I don't think any of them will be lower than a 3, just based off their description. So, and there are a few that could be 5 stars in there. So I think March is going to be a good reading month. So thanks.